Time for overlooked stocks. George Tsilis, the man of the hour here, talking Oshkosh. George, senior markets correspondent for us, of course. Let's talk this company, not one I'm familiar with. OSK is the ticker. I see why it's on your radar. Making a little breakout, it looks like.
It is. I mean, this is a name. It's a defense company. It's an industrial and defense company based out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. It is breaking out to new 52-week highs, and I think this is quite compelling considering what's going on politically. We know that the Senate passed the president's bill. It's going to be presented to the House, but nonetheless, the moral of the story is that defense spending has been increasing substantially, and it's going to continue to do so. And right now, with the Republicans holding this House and the Senate, it looks like there's going to be plentiful spending going about for defense contractors, which Oshkosh is one. They actually make defense vehicles, tactical defense vehicles, but they also have quite a bit of a public sector and private sector vehicle manufacturing. For instance, electric trucks and boom lift trucks are used or manufactured by Oshkosh, fire trucks, ladder trucks, and all of the trucks that actually haul big trucks like tow trucks for major industrial and, of course, commercial vehicles, heavy-duty vehicles. So this is a company that's been around since the early 1900s. But the tactical vehicle space, I think, is quite interesting for Oshkosh, considering now, if you look within the big, beautiful bill, there's an additional provision of $150 billion that will be allocated either to the Golden Dome program, which is still going on in terms of negotiations. But with that said, the tactical vehicle support for that program is where Oshkosh may actually generate quite a bit of revenue. But at the same time, one of the other things about Oshkosh is they actually got a major contract back in 2021. They beat Grumman, which is basically the old mail truck company, and they actually got the contract to essentially manufacture the new generation of electric vehicle mail trucks. And so that's been going on in the backdrop for this company. But nonetheless, I think the defense business is another area to keep in mind and why it's hitting new 52-week highs. And I think if you look at Goldman Sachs, which did upgrade the stock to a buy from neutral, their price target now is $131 from $124. They actually see something I found. If you look at the financials, they actually see improved expectations for tariffs sort of embedded in the stock price, but they also see margin expansion between this year on a fiscal basis and next year, considering the EPS estimates for this fiscal year at around $10.32, they're expecting around $12.21 next year. And that's an improvement of about 18% on about 4% sales growth. So I think Goldman's on this one in a right capacity, considering sales growth going forward is not necessarily going to be very robust, but earnings growth is the key. And this is why they've upgraded the name.
George, it's almost like one of those names that's overlooked but hiding in plain sight. It's all around you with the things that it has. Obviously, 2020 was a tough year given the industries and things that they're working on and how much of that spending pulled back. It took a few years to kind of get back. It was just getting back, it seemed, last year. Kind of a setback this year, maybe tariff policy an impact, but expected to be short-lived, I guess, is the moral of the story.
Definitely. I think, even going back a few years or since COVID, one of the areas I think was hit for Oshkosh's end markets was the aviation business. I mean, they provide those skyjacks and lifts and support vehicles for airports. And so that business, again, got hurt, but the other side, the military business, saw some expansion. So what I'm trying to say here is that the business itself, both in the private sector from an industrial and commercial standpoint, as well as the military tactical vehicles and support vehicles, like fuel trucks, for instance, just to give you another example, they seem to help insulate the company from demand shocks in revenue. But I think going forward, one of the catalysts is the embedded mail truck contract. I think if you look at between this year and next, the EPS estimates are expected to rise quite considerably. Price is moving now, and that's why I think Goldman is up the ante on the stock and increased their price target. It's not going to be one of these names that moves 100% in a year. It's not designed to be that way. They pay about $2.09 in dividends, which is about 20% of their EPS. But ideally speaking, look at next year's earnings versus their forward multiple at 9 times. Historically, it's around 15 times. So it's basically growing at a reasonable price. I think the defense business is going to be a huge catalyst, and I think that it's a steady growth name, but it also provides nice dividends as well as value for investors.
Is it also safe to say, George, too, that some of the, let's call it fire truck business, you talked about some of the lifts and things that you'll see at the airport, things that you just take for granted that there's a business out there making these products, to be quite frank with you. Does that also soften the volatility a little bit and provide kind of a buffer, given the ups and downs of defense spending that ebb and flow with political kind of wins?
Precisely my point. I think that the insulation of the revenue of the business is really contingent upon all the things that we take for granted. I mean, who thinks about snow removal equipment at airports? I don't, but they're necessary. So my point is, yeah, I do think you're right. I think that the private sector and the industrial and commercial space has got more steady revenues. The Department of Defense and the public vehicle contracts, like the mail truck contract, do fluctuate based on who's in office. Because we had a Republican sweep, we can see that they're spending quite a bit of money, and there's still fiscal largesse going on. So with that said, I think going forward, at least in the next years, at least between this year and next year, the U.S. Postal Service contract, as well as the tactical vehicle contracts that Oshkosh will garner from defense spending, is the reason why we're seeing a nice uplift in the stock, breaking out of a trading range into new 52-week highs.
Good stuff, George Tsilis. Appreciate it. Overlooked, but hiding in plain sight. Oshkosh, nice little breakout to new highs.